Hello, my name is Jana Williamson. If we haven't met before, I'm a pianist and piano teacher in the suburbs of Chicago. And today I'm posting a blog post about interleaved practice. I am certainly not the first person to talk about this, but if you want to learn more about what that is and how I use it specifically in my teaching, please click the link in the description of this video. What I'm going to do in this video actually is walk you through what my practice session looked like this morning before I made this video and how I used interleaved practice. So first I'm just going to tell you what I'm currently working on. Because of some unique calendar situations this particular year, I am not doing a lot of collaborative preparation right at this very moment. I do have a couple of auditions this weekend for a singer who's doing an academic audition. So I have some art songs in this binder here. I don't really have to practice those, but there's a couple of, things, introductions or whatever that I just want to go through so I make sure I give him my best this weekend. So that is like 5 minutes maximum of my practice time. I have learned over the past, really since the pandemic hit, the A minor English suite. That's the second English suite. And I am currently just marinating the prelude of that. That's the one that sounds like this. Really, really fun piece, but it's long for Bach and it's very, very runny and technically demanding. So I know that it's memorized. I'm just letting that sit for a future performance at the moment. I am also working on 2 of the Poulenc improvisations. Number 13. If you follow me on Instagram, then you've heard me play some of these. The other one I'm working on is number 3. That one is newer to me. I know 13 pretty well. I'm kind of in the process, similar to the Bach, of marinating number 13. I would like to memorize it. It's probably partly memorized right now. Number 3 is newer to me, and so it's definitely not memorized yet, and I'm still trying to get it up to tempo. I'm probably about 85% of the way I want to be on tempo. I have a couple of things that I'm still trying to fix with some fingering choices, and I took this to a lesson a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually playing a wrong note, which meant I had to do something different because I was playing a black key instead of a white key. I don't know how I missed that one particular wrong note, but we all have that happen sometimes. I'm also working on voicing in that. So those are the kinds of tasks I'm doing there. Still working on voicing in number 13 as well. You can work on voicing in Poulenc until you die, really. In the French vein, I have Clair de Lune out right now because that's the only piece that multiple people have asked for me to do a video on how to teach Clair de Lune. It's coming, everybody. I can't tell you exactly when, maybe in March. I don't have to do a lot of practice on Clair de Lune, but there are some serious technical challenges. I don't need to practice what this should sound like. I'm just trying to practice how I want to talk about it in that how to teach video. So I'm trying to solve a couple of technical challenges that when I sat down to play it were really quite tricky. And then my kind of out there piece that I'm working on right now, I bought this score called Jupiter's Moons by Judith Lang-Zymont. This was written, I think, in 2000 or 2001, so it's a new piece of music. I've been interested in this particular composer. I'm interested in female American composers, especially those who write for students. I always want to know what their advanced music sounds like. Another example would be Emmylou Deemer. There are some other really wonderful women who've written in the second half of the 20th century and beginning of the 21st century. And so I picked this up as something for me. I'm learning 2 of the movements right now. One of them is pretty easy to read. Relatively easy to read. It's pretty tonal, uses a lot of triads or extended chords that I can read without a lot of trouble. The other one that I'm working on is actually quite atonal and very, very runny. So that is in its very baby stages of me just learning it. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I kind of have in my general week's idea of things that I could do. So interleaved practice is the practice of alternating things and not spending just one big block of time on one thing and then one big block of time on another thing and then kind of going through like that. So what I did today in my practice session and what I've been doing for the last several weeks is I used my phone to set a timer for 5 minutes. and I allow myself to work on one thing for 5 minutes. Now, that might be one short movement, the whole movement for 5 minutes, especially if it's something that I know really well. Or if I'm more in the performance preparation stages, for instance, that Bach takes about a little over 4 minutes to play. So I might actually use those 5 minutes to just do a practice performance and run through it at tempo and kind of see how that went. Then when the timer goes off, I hit repeat and I've got a new 5 minutes and I move on to something else. I'm trying to alternate things that I know well, like that Bach or the Poulenc number 13, with things that are new. Because I find for me, if I spend a lot of time on music that's difficult to read or difficult to digest, like that Ganymede movement of Jupiter's moons, I find that I get burned out really quick. And if I let myself do only a few minutes, then I can practice it. And when I move on to something else, I get two benefits. Number one, my brain actually continues to process what I've just done. So I feel like those synapses are being connected. The melanin is being wrapped around. I don't really know what I'm talking about in brain science, but these are the basic things that I understand. So if I go on to Bach or Poulenc or an easy art song or something like that, after I've just practiced the most intense reading, figuring out fingering, making technical decisions, making distribution decisions, all those kinds of things, my brain continues to process that difficult work I've just done while I do something that's a little bit easier for me. The second benefit is if I put back-to-back things that are technically challenging or technically new with things that are technically more comfortable, problems I've already solved, things I know how to play, then A, that keeps me from getting too twisted up and tense. And B, I think there is something in the fact that our bodies tend to solve problems. Our subconscious can solve some problems that maybe we don't have to think so hard consciously about just by switching back between things we've already worked on and already considered with things that are newer. Now within each of these, I'm going to use a lot of different practice techniques, and that's going to be based on where I am with that piece. And I have a whole toolbox of practice techniques, and these are the kinds of things that I talk about in my How to Teach videos, such as doing technical work on passage work with staccatos or rhythms or sprints, using the metronome, doing back it up or backwards practice where you start at the end of a section and you move back and add more and more to it. Doing small sections from memory, only practicing one hand and ghosting the other hand. I mean, there's just innumerable number of practice techniques that I could choose within that short time period. Now, there's no magic on 5 minutes being the time frame. That's just what I usually use. If you find that 5 minutes is just a little too short for your taste and you want to do 6 or 7, I think that's just fine. And if you're really intensely working and 5 minutes is too long, then try 3 or 4 minutes and see if that gives you a little bit more space. After I do about 25 minutes total, so about 5-minute sets, I like to take a 5-minute break, go use the restroom, get a glass of water, walk to the mailbox, do some stretching, maybe move my laundry over to the dryer, whatever it is. I try to give myself a little bit of mental headspace there because this type of practice, interleaved practice, is the most challenging from a constant focus standpoint. If you really follow this and you force yourself to move from piece to piece to piece and then to go back to the things you did at the beginning, your brain is constantly having to consider, what are my challenges right now in this piece? What do I need to do right now in this piece? And you're constantly solving problems. So it does take more focus, more effort. I'm usually really tired and really hungry after an hour's worth of doing this. I hope that gives you a little peek into my own practicing, what I'm working on, how I might practice. Hopefully there's something helpful to you here. If you want to think more about how you might teach in an interleaved manner and assign your students practicing in an interleaved manner, please do click that link to the blog post. Subscribe to my channel. Make sure you don't miss anything that's coming out next. And best wishes in all your teaching and playing.